I'm ready.
Well, welcome to the Our Zen Post of the Week podcast, where we talk about a Zen Reddit post of academic or practic interest, but we're not doing that because Astro said he wanted to do something else. So this would be Wumenguan, Gateless Gatekeeper, Gateless Gate, Case 1, and action.
Yes, hi, I'm Astromi, and let's do this. So, I'm gonna read the first case of Wonder Wheels translation. Um, and the first case goes: Venerable Jiaojiu, because a monk asked, is the puppy also Buddha nature or not? And Jiaojiu said, not. And so Woman says, to meet Zen, you must pass through the founder's checkpoint. For the wonderful awakening, you exhaust the road of the heart mind to the finish. If you do not pass through the ancestor's checkpoint, if you do not finish the road of the heart mind, the depletion indeed follows like a tree spirit attached to the grass.
Okay.
Just say,
Here's JC Cleary. So I think you can feel the contrast, just like in your bones. Wumen said, to study Zen, you must pass through the barrier of the Buddhas and patriarchs. For wondrous enlightenment, you must get to the end of the road of the mind. If you do not penetrate the ancestral teacher's barrier, if you do not end the road of the mind, then in all that you do, seeking to follow the Buddhist path, you are but a ghost haunting the forests and fields. So, in J.C. Cleary's translation, we have three big, just in this paragraph, we have three big shout outs. One, the road of the mind and ending it, right? And road is another nerd is another word for way, right? And all the Taoists out there now are screaming and pulling their hair out because Zen Master Wumen is saying you must end the way, end it. Two, that the Buddhas and the patriarchs, including Zen Master Buddha, set up barriers / checkpoints / gatekeeping zones, and you have to go through them. It's not that they are like, yeah, you can do it, buddy. Come on, you can make it. It's not like that. It's like that. No, that's what we're talking about. And finally, if you don't do these things and you're trying to follow what Cleary calls the Buddhist path, but which we actually know to be the Zen path, if you're trying to follow the Zen path and you don't do this stuff, you are like the living dead. You're like from that TV show where everybody is zombies. That's you. So it's pretty serious.
okay, give me a second. um, okay, okay. So, okay, I'll keep going and then okay, I'll keep going. I'll keep going. I just okay. Just say, what is the founder's checkpoint like? Simply this one single word, not. That indeed is the one checkpoint of the lineage's gate. Consequently, this is titled the gateless checkpoint of the Zen lineage. After you are able to pass through this, you not only intimately come face to face with Jiaojiu, then you can take part in the successive generations of founders, walking together hands in hand. Walking together, holding hands, your eyebrow hairs entangling. See, that's always a funny image. Okay, seeing with one and the same eye, hearing with one and the same ear. How could it be that you don't celebrate quickly? Does it not happen to be essential to pass through this foundation checkpoint? To use your 360 bones and joints and your 84,000 hair follicles throughout your body to start up single mass of doubt to meet this single word, not. Daytime and nighttime lift up and tear. Tear? Yes, lift up and tear. Do not establish an association between nothingness and not. Do not establish an association between is and not. Examine this as if you swallowed a single hot iron ball and vomiting doesn't get it out. First, clean and extinguish your foul knowledge and foul consciousness from long, long ago. And when naturally mastered, inside and outside become one. It's as if the mute person gets a dream allowing only oneself to know. Suddenly and certainly, one punches open to frighten heaven and shake the earth. It's as if you snatch and get General One's checkpoint great sword into your hand. Then, if you chance to meet Buddha, you kill Buddha. If you chance to meet ancestors, you kill ancestors. At the top of the highest sea cliff of birth, at the top of the high sea cliff of birth and death, you stand ready with great natural ease. And in the midst of the 6 paths and 4 birds, you play samadhi. Okay, so I do have a question right about here. So if if woman is saying talking all this big game about how he's the he's the gatekeeper and he's uh, gatekeeping and you have to kill the Buddhas and the ancestors and
No. Whoa. Linji's gonna say something different because what he's saying here is, I gotta turn the page in the line.
Clearly, okay.
Yeah. What Wumen is saying here is, it is like taking a great commanding general's sword in your hand. You slay Buddhas and patriarchs as you meet them. It's not like you're going around going, I got to kill somebody. I got to kill him. No, you're like walking down the road
Okay.
and somebody comes up to you and you're like, no.
Okay, right. But okay, that's still an instance of okay. So if that's the case, and Wumen is going to, I mean, maybe not that much effort, but he's going to some amount of effort to write this instructional text, and we're going to the, let's say, same amount of a little bit less amount of effort in reading it. Then how is what he's saying not don't trust me? And if because he's not it's what you said, right? He's not saying like, come on over here, guys, there's a road over here, look at all of these tiles that you can walk over or whatever. If he's not saying that and he's basically saying the opposite, right? Then
is he saying the opposite or yeah, I mean that's the question. Is he saying the opposite? Or is he just not saying, yeah, I don't know that he's offering to help you figure out how to get there as much as he's telling you that's not the way to get there. You're not going to get there that way. Right?
Okay. But that's much better. Okay, but it does see like, okay, when he's talking about killing Buddhas and patriarchs as you meet them,
right?
How is that not saying, you know, Okay, I think okay, I'm definitely thinking about it in very that dichotomic terms. Like
Oh yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. Right. Dichomatic, binary.
but
Ah,
yes, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
binary.
Yes, I think I'm thinking about it in very binary terms because I think what I'm saying is either he's saying follow me or he's saying be wary of me and don't follow me
Yeah, I mean, I
anywhere.
think, but I mean, the other thing to remember is he's writing this after hundreds of years of absolute domination of the Zen tradition in China. Like at this
Right.
point, everybody knows that Zen masters are all over the place. And if they don't kick your ass, then one of their students who isn't even enlightened will kick your ass. I mean, they are dominating the debates in religion and philosophy all over China, right? So and he knows this, right? I mean, he's got hundreds of people in the monastery, studying with him. He knows how famous he is, right? And he's saying the thing that has already come up a lot in the tradition, which is it's not enough for you to be like me. It's not enough for you to parrot what I've said. We're not a tradition of imitators. Um, so the the saying is um if you can't exceed your teacher, then you cannot carry their teaching.
Hmm.
Right. And so what he's saying is, if you can't surpass Buddha, then you can't be a Buddha follower. So when you meet a Buddha on the road, you have to show them that you have surpassed them. Right. The authenticity test is, are you going to shut me down in an interview or not? And if you can't, you know, kill the dharmas of the Buddhas that you meet, then you're not a Buddha, right? Buddhas are dharma killers. So, I mean, no, I mean, this is fair because he goes and sits under the tree because everything that people told him would help him was not helpful. Like it was all useless stuff. And he had to either die under the tree or resolve for himself why it was that it was all useless. And what I'm saying is, okay, so everybody else has to do what Buddha did, or they're not on the Buddha team, right?
Okay. 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 I'll finish reading and then I have some more stuff to say slash ask.
All right.
How do you produce lifting and tearing? Lifting up and tearing. Raising the single word not exhaust the strength of your life spirit until leveled. If you do not interrupt for even an interval of space, it's if you do not interrupt for even an interval of space, it's completed. Then one spark and you manifest like a Dharma candle. And then his verse says, the Buddha nature of the poppy, fully stated, correctly decreed, until you fall across is and not, dying body, lost destiny.
Cleary
Okay.
has it.
Yep.
I have this thing, right? Which like you put the book in it. Now, see, I don't, this is really weird now. Like I can't, whoa. Yeah, it doesn't even, I'm not familiar with the technology. Anyway, I have a thing that holds the book open for you so you can read and type at the same time. And mine says, on the shore of birth and death, you find great sovereign independence. You wander at play in enlightenment among all orders of beings and all planes of existence. But how will you bring up Jiao Zhou's no and keep your attention on it? Bring up the word no with your whole life force. If you do this properly without interruption, it is like a lamp of truth, and once lit, it shines. But I want to remind you, it is a great sovereign independence, right? This is not a family for people who want to be followers. This is a family of people who want to be independent, right? It's not a herd where there's one alpha or, pack leader, which is what all religions are. It is a association of kings. And you can understand, I mean, that really, I think, explains the whole of Zen history pretty well, right? Because we have all these kings who are associating with each other across time. And of course, they are going to bicker all the time. I mean, they're all kings. That's not how we do it where I come from, or where you come from sucks. I mean, my border is between those two mountains. No, it isn't. I mean, all the things that a group of kings would argue about, all those things are things that Zen masters are going to argue about, because, I mean, it goes back to, because we don't want to get excited about the genderification, right? Because we're talking about queens too, right? Which is why Miaozong destroys the head monk in that interview, right? She's a queen. You can't boss her around. This is why when Iron Grinder goes to see Guishan, she's like, yeah, I'm here to tell you to feed yourself, dumbass. I'm out. Like that's the conversation, right? Because it's a queen from one country and a king from another country, and the younger person is the queen, and she's like, you are old, and I think you might be senile, and she just walks out, right? I mean, it's a beautiful thing. But okay, so yes, I think it's very important that we recognize the word independence, because, and I just for my own amusement, right, I'm gonna go jump over here, if I can get Google to do what I'm asking, which it's unlikely, and I'm gonna go over here to the Buddhism wiki page, www.reddit.com/r/zen /wiki/Buddhism. No, not nudism. Buddhism. There we go. And now I'm going to go Control F, find independence. No, not one referenced independence on that wiki page. They're not interested in independence. They're not independent people. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, I talked too much. Go ahead, it's your turn.
Okay. So, first of all, I wanted to talk about the. Okay, so I have something on my mind about this case, because I listened to what was it, like a class, like a one-off class or something like that. I don't know what to call it. From Sharf.
Yes.
The guy. And
but what was the date on it? What was the date? That's a first big deal.
Give me 1 second. I'm sure I can get it. It was pretty recent. It was pretty recent. But okay. While I get that, I think it's funny how many things from what he says already don't sound like the scholarship of the 60s and 70s, which, mind blowing. We've come a long way since then. But the other part is, I think even then it's from 6 months ago. No, not 6 months ago. May 2022. So, pretty recent. And okay, and he talked about this case, and I think it's interesting how a lot of, so he already said something about cons not being puzzles, right? But even then, he approached this one in the same way, it seems to me, that most people want to approach them, like like as if, having, as if you had as if you have to have a key for unlocking the case, and after you get the key, which it's like a piece of knowledge or context or whatever, then you're done. You don't have to think about this case anymore. And the piece of context that he brought up was he was saying that well, first of all, I mean, it's very wrong in a lot of in many different levels, but basically what he said was um, this case only makes sense because everybody knows that everybody has the Buddha nature, including animals, including dogs. And so when Yao just says no, he's already referencing that. And I mean, I think, yes, that's part of the context, but it's pretty incredible to me that he either doesn't know or ignores while talking about this case that there's a longer part for this case.
Wait, no, let's just stop there before you even go on the longer thing.
Okay.
This is how effed up he is. He's so sure that there is a Buddha nature. He's so convinced that that can't be questioned that he approaches this case as if there's some kind of confusion being created. When the reality is he's just completely wrong. And the whole concept of Buddha nature is just provisional. It's just something that we show children to make them feel better about all the things they're scared of. He took a bedtime story about Cinderella and he made it so true that he couldn't even doubt it, even when a Buddha came to him and like, no, dude, no. He just can't do it. Right? That's how confused he is. Because Zhao is just saying a very ordinary thing, and that is what Huangbo said, which is there's no unalterable dharma. It's not, true and false is not how we play this game. But Sharf can't see Zen apart from Buddhism because he's so blinded by his conditioning, right? He can't have an honest conversation about the fact that Buddha said there's no Buddha nature. The Buddha that said that was Zhao. And it's as true as anything any other Buddha said. And it's not trying to cause confusion. It's illuminating what you're already confused about.
I think
you're right about the rest of the stuff, and you can go ahead and say that now.
Okay, but just to add to what you're saying, I think it's also a very, let's call it, interesting. I think backwards, it's also applicable way of studying. I mean, anything, but Zen in particular, to be like, okay, I already know what the answers are, and so every time something contradicts what I already think, that means they surely are lying, and they are lying not only because they already think what I think, but also because by lying they are pointing to the thing that I already know. And I think a lot of people play this game of whatever the Zen masters say, it's not my job to figure out what they are saying in the context of their conversation. What they are saying, the things they're saying, because they already think the way I think. And I mean, I think the two problems with that are well, one of them is just basic honesty and historicity, but also the second part is well, I mean, why are you learning anything if you're just like, yeah, I already know science, all of my first intuitions and first glances are correct, and why study anything if you're going to be like, if either this is what I already believe or I don't care. So I mean, that's just really odd to me. And what the other part that I was going to mention is that there's another part for this case. I don't actually remember if it came before this or after, or if it really even matters. But some other guy asked Zhao if the dog had Buddha nature, and Yao just said yes, it does have. And when asked about why, um, okay, wait, so it's all incomplete. Give me 1 second. So, okay, when they ask him no, the guy asks, well, why not? Isn't everybody supposed to have Buddha nature? And Yao just said something close to that the dog didn't have Buddha nature because it still had the compulsive passions. Right? Do you have another translation for that?
Not with me, but he says well, the question is, look, if the dog doesn't have the Buddha nature, why? And if the dog does have the Buddha nature, what did he do wrong to get stuck in the body of a dog? And I think Zhaozhou's answer to the second one, which is, if he has a Buddha nature, what did he do wrong to get stuck in the body of the dog? I think Zhaozhou's answer is, he knows what he did. And his answer to how can you say the dog doesn't have a Buddha nature is something like, you are a slave to causality. Which is a super weird answer. Like, how can you go against the entire Buddhist canon? Because you're a follower. I mean, it's a it's like a card trick that we've all seen way too many times. We're like, yeah, okay, sure. But when the Buddha does the card trick, everyone's like, oh yeah, no, that one was a good one. Really?
Okay. I wanted to say one more thing because okay, yeah. And I think it's funny that we have these two different answers, both with very interesting explanations, and that Wumen only mentions one, right, with no explanation as well. But then in his verse, he's like, well, you have to pass. How did he say it? You have to pass through yes and no or something like that. Like he explicitly goes out of his way to reference it and not give us the full case, which, I mean,
well, I mean, I think it depends on the translation. I'm not saying that translation is wrong. I think that's interesting, and I'd like to know more. But Cleary's translation says, a dog, the Buddha nature. Wumen fully expresses the correct. No, sorry. Zhaozhou fully expresses the correct imperative. As soon as you step into being in nothingness, you lose your body and your life. So in his poem, he's saying Zhaozhou was correct in saying that the dog does not have the Buddha nature. Oh, I'm sorry, Sharf. Does that not make sense in your worldview? So we have two Zen masters, and they agree that you're wrong. Sorry. Jeez. Why do I have to be the one to say it? I'm some bozo on the internet. Come on, man. You're paid to teach people this material. All right. But yeah, so in Cleary's translation, we don't see the tension in the full case play out. But I'm not saying, I mean, I haven't looked at my other two favorites, Blythe and Reps. But I can do a few clicks and perhaps remedy that situation. Zen Library Essentials.
Okay, so before that happens,
okay.
I might need you to remind me of the translation, but so what Cleary's rendition of what Wumen said is saying basically is that as soon as you're already wondering if it has it or not, you're already playing a losing game. Is that close to it?
Are you rewinding now to earlier in the thingy?
No, just the verse of as soon as you step into beingness, nothingness, or something like that.
As soon as you step into being and nothingness,
Hmm.
you lose your body and your life. Are you thinking about that?
Yes. I mean, I think yeah, it doesn't sound like a really like it could be both of the things, right? Or it could, like it's such a wide net, being and nothingness. Like I don't know.
Wait,
I
you're gonna like this. It's because
okay.
it's gonna get real up in here. Um, here's Tilled. Here's Rep's verse.
Hmm.
Has a dog Buddha nature? This is the most serious question of all. If you say yes or no, you lose your own Buddha nature. Yeah. How about them apples? That's Reps. And then here's Blythe, because I
Well,
love this game.
you know
The
what?
great wait. No,
Go.
that's not it. That's not it. That's not it.
Okay, then I'll go. Then I'll go. I think that makes like that. I really like that translation because I think it also illuminates something really interesting, which is I hadn't thought about this. I hadn't thought about this because I think part of the big deal about whether the dog has a Buddha nature is that people think they are higher, better creatures than dogs, right? Which I mean, I haven't uh, found a convincing argument for that, but they think being a dog is what
No, a modern audience thinks that. I don't think Jojo's audience thinks
yeah,
that.
no. I'm thinking specifically about Charf.
Oh,
For the context of this,
I don't want
uh,
to talk about him. I am just so just disgusted.
well, that's the thing, right? Like, I think when he assumes that, of course, dogs must have Buddha nature, since he thinks dogs. I mean, I don't know if he thinks, but maybe he thinks dogs are trapped in a dog body because they did something wrong in a previous life. I don't know. But if dogs have Buddha nature, then surely he must have Buddha nature. And if Yaoyo takes that away from him, then he can't justify himself having a Buddha nature. He likes having a Buddha nature. Why wouldn't he? Right? I mean,
He's just a Buddhist. He doesn't think about anything. This is not thinking. This is just, he's not surrounding himself with people who ask him hard questions. He's just, getting paid to shoot his mouth off. He's, he thought Dogen was a Zen master till 2013 at least, right? I mean, all right, no, I'm not being fair to him. He may have realized it earlier than that, but here's Blythe's translation, and I think you will agree that Blythe wins. Are you ready? The dog,
okay.
the Buddha nature, the perfect manifestation, the command of truth. If, for a moment, you fall into relativity, you are a dead man.
I think that's also a really wide net. I think I think so. I have no idea how to judge the merit of any translation. So I mean,
Ask ChatGPT.
what? But uh, what catches my attention the most is that two of these translations explicitly talk about uh, uh, no, no, they all do it differently. Okay, so one of them talks about being and nothingness, another one about yes or no, another one about have and not have, and the other one is this one is relativity, right? So it's four different things that are making the difference in the case.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Sharf could have done his class a favor, and instead of shooting his mouth off about stuff that he didn't understand, he could just talk about how tough it was to translate the poem. That's a whole class right there. And you don't have to say anything wrong and make yourself look like an idiot. Just talk about translating the poem for 2 hours, 3 hours. I think that Blythe nails it because stepping into being in nothingness is poetic, but it's not very practical. Whereas Blythe's phrasing is if you fall into relativity, if you descend into it, but if you get caught in relativity, you lose your body and your life. And I think that's fair, right? Because it's the relativity that this case is about, right? Everybody who reads the case believes in Buddha nature. Zhao, who is a Buddha, says you're wrong for believing in it. And there's the relativity there, right? That somehow he is not in accord with the teachings, and he's a Buddha. So we know he's in accord, and the problem must be something to do with how people are understanding the teachings.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the big point in the favor of Blight's translation, but I think, I mean, okay, yeah, I'm coming up short. I don't think I have a complaint other than I don't like it. So because I think the problem that I'm seeing is it's also it's virtue, right? That it's a wide net to cast relativity. Like it's a lot of things you can admonish with that. And the reason I liked the one for yes and no is because it sounds like an explicit reference to what happens in the case. No, that doesn't sound like I just don't like it. I think it's a fair thing to say. Um, so the relativity part encompasses the yes or no part, but I don't know because it's so widely stated. I don't know if it makes as much of a like it sounds again like I just don't like it. Uh
Well, I mean, I think we can narrow down what you don't like. Everybody pretty much agrees that the first sentence is dog, Buddha nature. Everybody pretty much agrees that the second sentence is that Zhao is right about everything. So it's really an argument about the last 2 lines.
Right.
So we can narrow that down a lot. And I have, I guess, Sakita's crappy Chinese version. In the Chinese, there's other better versions, but I don't know where they are at the moment. And for some reason, my computer is so slow. All right, here it is. I have the Chinese. I'm copying it. I'm pasting it into MDGB. Pasted, go. It says, just now,